Spiritual reminiscence is a special way of communication that acknowledges the person as a spiritual being.
Making a difference in people's lives.
It's always time to learn new things.
The chance to share various parts of faith.
I just enjoy talking about different things.
That is to get to know people and get to know them in depth.
They can see I'm actually making a difference. Those friendships developing sort of enriches their lives, makes them feel less alone and part of a community.
My enjoyment will be to get some new understandings that I didn't have before.
Spiritual reminiscence is a special way of communication that acknowledges the person as a spiritual being and seeks to engage the person in a more meaningful and personal way. It focuses on the person with dementia and their emotional and spiritual being rather than on cognitive losses. Spiritual reminiscence can be one-on-one or in small groups, and these are usually a maximum of about 4 participants plus a facilitator. Spiritual reminiscence enables the participants to connect with each other in meaningful ways. This slide illustrates how we connect with life meaning and the things that are most important to us. Relationship or connectedness with others and/or God. Relationship is part of being human and is fundamental to finding meaning in life. Creativity, environment. Humans respond to special life experiences of nature or of human imagination. For instance, awe at sight of beautiful sunset, or some wonder of creative human ability. The arts. This again involves creative abilities, and people with dementia can still engage in music, art, poetry, and dance. Religion engages in all the other 3 aspects of the spiritual, and even people who have no religious affiliation engage in acts and behaviours that use symbols and rituals in celebration and to help connect with meaning. Well, a variety of people can facilitate spiritual reminiscence. The main thing is that they have proper training to be able to use the process. So it could be care staff, it could be nurses, it could be other care staff, it could be social workers, it could be a range of people, pastoral carers and chaplains in particular, activities officers perhaps. But it is important that they understand how to facilitate this process, which is a little bit different. We're looking at the depth of meaning and emotional experiences in spirituality.
To me personally, the value of the program is about getting people who care for those with dementia in our community to see people with dementia as having more to them than just the assumptions that we've made in the past about the importance of memory, how we might treat people because they can't remember what's going on. Even though they have dementia, they have been really happy to talk about their lives and in some very deep and meaningful ways. They have also been happy to interact with each other. Many people think that people with dementia can't interact in a small group. we've found through our work that not only do they interact in a small group, but they get a great deal of pleasure and meaning out of being in that group with their peers. People with dementia, we have found, can participate in small group work. They're happy to sit in a circle with friends, they will participate, they will interact. We sometimes think that people with dementia, it's no point in putting on group work or group activities because they won't remember that they're doing it anyway. We found that people were gathering to get ready to come to their group early, which is can be fairly unusual for other activities. So not only do people remember that they participated in the week before, but they also enjoyed coming along to participate again during this week. I think that as time goes on, we're going to find more and more that people with dementia have got incredible capacity. And what we need to be looking at is what their capacity to do is, not what they have lost. I think we need to somehow try to change some of those societal attitudes and some of carers' attitudes towards those people who have been diagnosed with dementia.
To quote Stephen Sabat, he has said that it's maybe memory dysfunction rather than memory loss, and how we can actually help by giving contexts, and we can work with people to help them find those memories. The term "who am I?", any human being should have a self. And so I think there is a misperception about the self disappearing. And you hear this about, she's not here, there's no longer there, they're just a vegetable, which sometimes even used in the presence of people with dementia, is awful because often they can't respond, and yet they know that these things are being said about them. Relationship for people with dementia is really important, and we've found in our studies that it was almost synonymous, meaning and relationship, or as we called it in our studies, connectedness, because there was that deep search for meaning and relationship. Connectiveness was a term that we used when we were doing our research with people who had moderate to sometimes severe dementia in residential care. We found that the way that they functioned in relationships was perhaps more disjointed than normal conversations because of their diminishing language skills. But yet they could communicate, and it was connecting at a deep level, even just through eye contact, through touch, with non-verbal communication. And that was just so important. The fundamental objectives of spiritual reminiscence are to really connect deeply with the people who are engaged in the process, and to help them explore their own life meaning and to find who they are in the process of this. Topics that we use in spiritual reminiscence are really not questions as such, but invitations to conversation. And that makes a whole difference because we want them to be real participants in this. This is about their lives, and we're only facilitating the process. The ideal setting for spiritual reminiscence is to have small groups. It can be done one-on-one, but small groups we have found to be so beneficial. And the problem with having a large group is that people with dementia and having language deficits and perhaps having hearing disabilities and other problems too, makes them difficult to catch on what's happening, and the whole becomes an activity which doesn't touch deeply into the lives of those people. And so we have worked on the basis that, depending on their language skills, 3 to 4 is probably about the ideal. The people in the groups get to know each other over a long period of time, and we would certainly encourage them to get to know each other better and to interact. We found this to be a really strengthening thing for the people. What is said in the group stays in the group, because sometimes people will share things that are very personal but important to share, and they are things that should be kept in the confidence of the group, and we would always say that to the people, and in fact the people in the group that we've used here, we have certainly done that. And some people say you should only share happy experiences in these groups, but I would certainly say no, it's the whole of life experience that you should be sharing.
When practicing spiritual reminiscing in a group, it's critical that people aren't distracted, being uninterrupted, quiet space, but their comfort is sort of paramount, because they'll get most benefit from it if they feel like they can talk freely. So by having a group of mixed people who don't normally interact with one another, those friendships developing sort of enriches their lives, makes them feel less alone and part of a community. Yeah. The program's meeting a need that we've identified that we all have, and that's to be part of multiple groups. So families provide a very specific care, and it's paramount for the residents, but there's not that peer community. So we need that. We need people our own age, our own experiences, and that's what these groups can provide. We need to matter in a broader group or within the community, and in a group setting, as they're sharing with one another, they can see, I'm actually making a difference. People find it helpful. One person starts to share about their hardship, another person shares. Then they share how they coped, the other person hears that strengthens their resolve or resilience. It has a multiplying effect. So I'm seeking to do that one-on-one, but it multiplies if it's happening in the group, because it also means it will be ongoing. So those residents will be warmer to each other, draw closer to each other because of the group work. Yeah.
The benefits of spiritual reminiscence for people with dementia are a number, and we've actually sourced comments from people who are engaged in the pilot study, staff and residents. And I'd just like to share some of these with you. One of them is the bonding experience, as people in the group realise they have experienced similar life events. Secondly, participants in small groups were comfortable in sharing deep and sometimes difficult memories. Third, often participants in the group would be supportive of the person sharing difficult life events. Next, memories of special life experiences can be shared and celebrated together. And finally, being in a small group over time helped the group members to become friends with others in the group. It feels as though perhaps we're doing something that might be a little bit worthwhile.